Hey everyone, I'm Ignacio. I'm the head of engineering at Somnia. Somnia is a super fast EVM based L1. We just launched our testnet last Thursday, so we're still trying it out. It seems that it's still okay, nothing broke. So we're very happy about that. Go and check it out as well.
Hey everyone, my name is Warren. I'm the co-founder of IMUA. It's an L1 for shared security. We just announced our seed raise yesterday and rebrand. We're formerly known as Exocore, and happy to be here.
Hello everyone, this is Zeeshan and I'm the co-founder and CEO at Quranium. At Quranium, we are building a quantum-proof layer 1 blockchain. And as you guys see that there's a lot of advancements in the quantum space, so there's a need of quantum-proof blockchain ecosystem. So we are building the core infrastructure for preventing the whole ecosystem with the quantum threats. Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Michael from Zero G Labs. Zero G Labs is the largest AI layer 1, more than 300 projects building on top of us. We've also raised more than $300 million at this point, and I'm a little under the weather, so you hear my voice, unfortunately. But yeah, nice to be here in Denver.
Thank you. You can leave it over there for now. As to kick it off, what I'm interested in before we get into the other questions is, are you currently using AI in any way to improve the scalability, stability of your network?
I guess I can start. We are using AI specifically for security. So we partner, for example, with Octane Security to analyze in real time a lot of the dApps that are building on our chain, and that uses a lot of kind of AI algorithms. I would say we're more of an AI infrastructure provider. So we essentially have different layers. We have a layer 1 that's ultra performant. Our goal is to get to what we call infinite TPS over time. So it's essentially infinitely scaling. And that's relying on a DA layer that's infinitely scaling. We can go into the technical details if you guys are interested. On top of that, we've built a fully decentralized storage network because you need to store your data, your models, your data sets for models and for training and so on somewhere. So that's there. Then there is a compute layer, and at the moment we provide inference, which is fully verifiable, fully decentralized, and trustless at the same time as well. And for the first time, you're actually able to do that. And then we're releasing fine-tuning pretty soon in a very similar vein. And over time, we're also doing a lot of fundamental research on the training components. So imagine if consumer devices can actually be used in a training process. But for that, you need to figure out how do you do batch training? How do you do asynchronous training? How do you make sure there's gradient descent and so on over time? So we're really much more of the infrastructure provider and making sure that all these different components fit together. And it's not just a layer 1, it's really the entire infrastructure around it.
So yeah, we are using AI in our smart contract deployment. Like people can write, give it a prompt and write smart contracts. We are not live yet, but we already have it in our future roadmap that we'll be implementing such kind of AI tools where a developer can come and just prompt the code and just write all the codes completely. So that's what we are aiming at.
So right now we use AI for a lot of security testing, but we're mostly working with AI companies to bring economic security to their infrastructure for verifiable compute. A lot of AI obviously is off-chain, so we're kind of working to decentralize orchestrators and different components within AI architecture, so that teams can kind of tap into the economic incentives of blockchains without having to make any underlying changes to their infrastructure.
We are not using AI directly on the product, but we have this internal tool that we're trying to put together to try and determine, basically for civil resistance. We're trying to determine, because the network is so cheap, we're having some problem with botting. So we're trying to see if there is a way where you don't have to actually go and check all the balances of a given address on different networks, but just by the behavior of an account, if you can determine if that's a bot or a human being. And also we are starting partnership with other companies. They are basically doing a lot of work on the AI agent space. So management of DAO treasuries, etc., where an AI agent is basically one of the signers and it determines like if this transaction should go through or not, which is a very interesting use case in my opinion. Can be also a bit risky if you basically have an adversarial attack on that one, but they have it pretty figured out, and I think that is a very interesting angle.
Yeah, I don't know, it's kind of funny. I feel like an AI agent, like, should I sell my tokens? And then the AI agent's like, no,
Nope.
no. But yeah, like, we don't really use AI that much as sort of like a product level. The only way we really use AI within the company is to improve the developer experience and to build out a lot of dev tooling very rapidly. You know, there's a lot of tools being a SVM chain that Solana has, but we don't have yet. So we use tools like Devin to just rapidly build out those dev toolings to just improve the developer experience.
I think at Taraxa, we always believed that blockchains are built for machines. Humans are horrible at using blockchains. We can't remember the code, and centralized exchanges get hacked. Blockchains get, give AI agents or machines in general identity, the ability to make economic decisions, the ability to own assets. So we are creating, there's a data layer, social data layer that was created a few years ago that feeds real-time Telegram conversational data from public groups, not private groups. And there have been lots of agents built on this pretty unique data set. I think there's a Trend Moon project that's been actually trading on social signals. They've beaten Ethereum by 8x in the past 20 months. There's a bunch of other type of agents that are being built leveraging this data set. Pretty interesting, pretty unique. And internally speaking, I think we're actively trying to find a team that actually builds AI agents that break layer 1 security. What we're seeing right now today, most of the mainstream layer 1s are hugely sacrificing security guarantees in pursuit of what I call marketable throughput performance metrics. They're not even realized, right? It's just written on pieces of paper. So I think with the advent of AI agents and with our thesis, which I think will be borne out very quickly, that AI agents are the true users of blockchain. I think these agents are going to be way better at breaking security than humans will be. They're going to be profit-seeking. You know, why trade coins when I can just break a chain and take all the money, right? So I think that's going to become reality very, very, very soon. So I think as the entire layer 1 space, right, we all should think about, what kind of security guarantees you're sacrificing when you're designing for throughput. So.
Cool. The next question for IMUA is, do you see any promising ways of using AI to improve the scalability and the efficiency of an L1 or L2?
Yeah, actually, it's really interesting. I've been building in crypto for over 10 years now, and it's a couple L1s. So working with core developers, like the development process is pretty conservative, right? You don't take a lot of risks as an L1 because it's underlying infrastructure, and then at some point, the code base kind of ossifies and hardens. That's why you see like Bitcoin core development. They don't make a lot of radical changes, now that the software's been live for so long. But I do think there's a lot of opportunity to introduce AI and take some more interesting risks. There's ideas of like potentially improving even like proof of work algorithms. Going back to that, like why does proof of work exist the way it does? Is like hashing rates have to be set out from the beginning where they're always predictable? Can they be more dynamic? I think there's a lot of more exploration in the space. At the smart contract level, obviously, what role does the L1 have in smart contract security? Can it provide more dynamic testing? We know smart contract audits are extremely static, and they're just snapshots. And everyone like says, "Oh, we've been audited by such and such." That was like months ago. Like, what happened? What's the state of the code today? And AI is really, the only thing that can actually determine whether there's something going on or not. So like some type of like certification that pass like simple tests is really important. I think too, like, there's a lot of work that can be done on dynamic fees. Currently there's dynamic fee algorithms that are written by humans that are flawed, that have, that choke out at certain points. This is why you see, some of the top chains just get super expensive when network load goes up. That doesn't need to happen. We can improve those AI can improve those algorithms, make them way more dynamic. I just think it's funny because, like, as an L1 developer, I feel like a baby. Like, we have been just mucking around in the playground, and like AI is going to take this to a whole nother level. That's why IMUA is a radically omni-chain design. So we support Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, XRP, and aggregate the economic security of all those chains. And the reason why we took that approach is we don't think that there's a true winner in the space in the L1 kind of race. And I think it's actually there's going to be an L1 chain that's developed like by AI. Imagine like even normies need like a 1-800 number or some chat to like ask some company questions. What if the L1 had some decentralized autonomous agent that actually could answer questions for you based on the state? And then some of the block explorers are doing this already, but this would be like embedded within the L1, and could potentially make proposals and changes and make recommendations on when you should send transactions based on network load, etc. There's a lot of stuff that can go on, and I think we're just in the early innings.
All right, that was much more than I expected. For OG or is it 0G?
You can use both.
Both? All right. What role do you
in the project is 0G.
That's right.
What role do you see AI play in improving blockchain interoperability?
Blockchain interoperability
Yeah,
specifically.
and for example, cross-chain interaction.
Specifically AI in that part, or?
Yeah.
I mean, ideally we get rid of it from a user experience standpoint for end users and just have AI agents do it. I think that's the best answer on that side. I don't think anybody wakes up in the morning and says like, oh, I'm so excited about using this bridge this morning. It's like amazing. Like, I don't know, being a user myself around bridges, trying to move treasury funds, for example, multiple millions of dollars is a pain in the ass. It's supposed to take, a few seconds. It takes hours. And so, yeah, I would love to have ultra-secure AI agents that can just handle it, essentially. And then from a bridging paradigm perspective, can we get bridges to be ultra-fast? I mean, there's many approaches to it. Can you have decentralized shared sequencers on the L2 side? So you can have different types of block confirmations, so that's super fast. But then that doesn't scale to other L1s. What do you do with other L1s? Can you use ZK bridging, which is the most secure, but it takes quite a while to generate a proof, and the fastest I've seen is like 3 seconds. So you can't do, like real-time trading off of that. So there's a lot of trade-offs in that space. And ideally, as an end user, we just, completely not have to deal with it.
Does anybody want to add to this? Any other views? No? Then the next one is for Eclipse. How can chains use AI to solve app discoverability?
So most chains today, right, if you're looking at a new ecosystem, do a pretty shit job at app discoverability. If you're a new user, you want to onboard onto a chain, chances are you are going to some bridge page, you're going to some shitty looking ecosystem page, or you're just digging into a Discord channel, like, what can I do on this chain? Where can I LP? Where can I lend? Where can I borrow? I mean, that's both a problem, but both a function of, these chains having really bad websites and sort of like user experiences, but also the fact that they're not using the correct tech, right? Like, eventually you reach a point where your ecosystem proliferates and you have so many apps, you have so many products and services across the ecosystem that it becomes hard for a user to find out what someone can do, especially in the context of a crypto native power user, right? You're always looking for yields. You're always looking for financial opportunities. And I think that's where AI agents can come in twofold. First is the information sort of gathering stage. These AI agents can crawl the Twitters, the Discords. They can become aware of what is the best yield on the DEX today, who's providing the best financial returns, what are most people doing, who's started a points program that you can farm. That's the first component, the information aggregation and curation perspective. And then the second is like the sort of discoverability and sort of execution perspective, right? The fact that you can interact with an LLM, this LLM can execute transactions for you. You can discover opportunities that you probably would not have discovered unless you spend 2 hours digging through a Discord channel, chatting with others. I'm not saying that's the end goal. I'm also not saying, like everything should be executed through an LLM. I think crypto's a bit delusional sometimes in thinking that everything should be interacted with through an LLM. In fact, I think like 90% of use cases, I just want to click 2 buttons. I don't want to talk to this LLM who, like, I'm not really sure he's going to understand what I want. But AI does play a very important role in sort of like this information problem, which as more and more of these platforms come online where users can permissionlessly generate something, assets, meme coins such as Pump Fund, AI agents such as Virtuals, like more and more this curation and this discoverability problem will become increasing like in sort of like size, and it's only going to be solved by a combination of social, algorithmic, and AI sort of discovery and curation.
Got it. And Somnia, how can AI help reduce the latency in blockchain transactions?
Well, I think there are a lot of different spaces where you could potentially use AI to reduce latency. You could analyze a transaction when it's sent and basically check if it's going to fail. You could analyze smart contract bytecode and based on historical patterns, see if that smart contract is going to bring trouble to the wider network. For example, I would love an AI that doesn't let me deploy any smart contract that has a reentrancy vulnerability on it. So like that would improve latency. Then at the network level, you can also have a lot of opportunity on discovering nodes that are behaving better or have better performance for whatever reason. You discover when you have like distributed nodes in a global network that depending on time of day, depending on the network conditions of wherever those nodes are, the performance is just better or worse. You could basically redirect resources, or like, I don't know, you can picture it like a global load balancer for transactions, and it would be redirecting the transactions to the nodes that are performing better. You can even apply that to the leaders of the node committee if you have a certain kind of proof of stake, or for example for us, the multi-stream consensus where you have a node committee and you need to have basically like the very best of the very best performing nodes over there. So you can also do a lot of stuff regarding how you prioritize transactions as well. You can try and, depending on the different type of node, different type of transaction, like see how you can improve efficiency, improve latency, what are the transactions that are going to go first, or should go first. Not we don't want to like introduce any new way of math in here. But yeah, basically like there are a lot of different parts along the stack where you could apply AI and try to reduce latency in different places. Most probably you need to apply all of those optimizations at the same time in these multiple places to get the benefits. But yeah, that's my opinion.
Got it. Quranium. Thank you, man. What role, like you very much on future-proofing the security, what role do you see that AI can play in contract security auditing?
So I feel that it plays a very important role as it can help in predicting the vulnerabilities in the smart contract, and it can also do like a real-time monitoring in the smart contracts. Imagine a lending protocol, DeFi lending protocol, where a user is depositing funds and taking the loan. So AI auditor can track it, scan the code, and prevent the vulnerabilities and predict it that there can be a re-entrancy attack, or maybe there can be a double spending attack that can possibly happen, and it can fix it and patch it before even the contract deployment. So it can, I think it's a very important role that it can play. But of course, my friend has rightly said, the certification is very important right now. It's not so robust right now that we can use it as an auditor. But in the future, when it can, learn from the hacks that happened in the past, and become so robust, might be it can be a very useful tool in the future. We are also having this in our roadmap. We'll be building this kind of smart contract auditor ourselves in our chain, which can help us in auditing our smart contracts for our projects that will be deployed on us. Thank you.
All right. Taraxa, how do you see that AI-powered analytics can improve network health?
Improve network health, huh? Well, I mean, I think we're still very focused on security. With AI, there's a lot of on-chain data. We barely can keep up with our own on-chain data. There's 200 blockchains out there. I'm sure they're all getting attacked in their unique ways by interesting and greedy people. And so I think having AI, we're already training our own kind of little model on the various attacks that we're seeing. We're devising ourselves, and I think some of the attacks that we're seeing, some interesting attacks that happened a few weeks ago, very, very smart people, very interesting attacks. So all these things can be trained into a model, right? And if you have an agent that lives on multiple chains at the same time, the data can be aggregated, its security can be improved. I think there was a previous question that talked about interoperability. I don't know, maybe there wouldn't even be different blockchain networks in the future, right? I mean, just a bunch of agents kind of standing up different networks for your whatever use you need at any given time, right? Talk about discovery, right? Like, the metrics, the human attention is very fickle and very lossy, so we need better objective metrics that can consume massive amounts of information and make better decisions for you, right? So all this information that's happening on-chain, all these metrics, all this analytics can all be used to improve pretty much everything that we were talking about here. This flesh computer is not very good. It's limited in capacity and speed. We need better tools, right, to help us scale to the next level. So.
Got it. And let's maybe have one for the whole group again. DeFi, I would assume most chains that are operational have some DeFi protocols on there. How can we use the bots to get better liquidity onto the chains?
Someone else very interesting DeFi would like to go first.
I'll kick it off. So DeFi liquidity. So I think right now it's a question of how do we increase liquidity, and then secondly, how do we make it better? So increasing liquidity, where is it going to come from? Right now traditional finance is it dwarfs any liquidity on chain through DeFi. So what's it going to take for a traditional financial institution to start participating in DeFi markets? It's going to take a lot more confidence, like market confidence that that things are happening. There's a lot of probably compliance, etc. Assuming that all gets figured out. Actually, we had kind of a realization yesterday on a panel that I think that AI is actually going to help to onboard TradFi in ways that we haven't really expected, because AI can actually take DeFi, the DeFi market, and make it a lot more efficient. The amounts of liquidity optimizations that can happen on different chains, and because traditionally, TradFi institutions are trading on single venue, they're optimized for that venue. That's it. So parlaying that into a multi-chain, multi-platform kind of universe in DeFi is a huge jump, where AI can kind of level that off, where your trading strategies are optimized for all types of different chains, all types of different markets, all types of different networks, and that's going to be huge, because that means the landing spot for institutional finance to come in is a lot bigger. It also, a concrete way, is lending and borrowing in DeFi sucks. You have to kind of over collateralize your position by over 100%, which is just a non-starter for most traditional financial institutions. How can you lower that collateral requirement? by using AI to actually do more like decentralized credit scoring, where you're doing historical analysis of borrower reputation, and you can actually help to establish kind of a baseline credit scoring on chain. I think AI is going to be hugely contribute to that in a big way.
I think it's mostly two things, right? One is sort of increasing market efficiency, and two is decreasing information asymmetry. Once you have both of those, you kind of increase the number of financial opportunities on the chain, right? Like, if you are making the market more efficient, then you are kind of arbitraging away opportunities. But while you are arbitraging away those opportunities, then you are also increasing mostly like yield opportunities or financial opportunities on the chain. And I think AI agents largely enable that, right? Like, if you look at most L1s or L2s today, they have most of the DeFi primitives, DEXs, lending, maybe some yield trading, maybe a perps DEX, maybe like an Oracle or like an order books perp DEX. There is sort of informational asymmetry between all of those, and there are market inefficiencies between all of those, especially for AMMs. Right? There's like a huge amount of cost DEX arbitrage that occurs today. It is reasonable to expect that one day an AI agent can decrease that amount of like informational asymmetry and open up that opportunity to a lot more, rather than sort of siloed financial entities, i.e. searchers, MEV participants. So that's kind of my take on AI agents and DeFi.
Okay, so I don't like finance. I think it's a little ridiculous. Finance is an abstract layer over actual goods and services being done. So what exists today in DeFi is that there's nothing real. It's speculation on top of speculation on top of speculation, 10 layers deep. Liquidity, all of this stuff, right? It's not going to be solved unless there's actual business, actual goods and services happening on blockchains, right? So I've always thought that blockchains, that's what I thought back in 2017 when we started building Taraxa, is as used to close trust gaps, right? You used to build audit trails. You used to actually make processes and the input data transparent and trustworthy so that we can actually automate a lot more processes, right? So I used to be a partner at Monitor Deloitte. We get paid like $50 million by these big companies to analyze data they already have and then not to use them, right? Nothing is automated, hugely wasteful, right? Humans, us, we don't scale. Get a company above 1,000 people, it's fucked. You're dead. We're not going to become an interplanetary species if this is the level of coordination inefficiency that we're seeing. Have to start automating a lot more. AI agents, I think, can bring a lot more business, actual real business, goods and services onto the chain. And then the abstract layer of finance actually start making sense, right? Or else everything goes to 100 to 0 to 100. Today's pool 1, pool 2, liquidity flows around, exchange rugs you, somebody else rugs you, whatever. It's empty, right? You have to actually start building real businesses. I think AI agents can help do that a lot better.
All right, we have to cut it here because we ran out of time. Thanks everybody for the panel.